a like on the video. It really helps the video progress and move forward. And please don't forget to drop a comment and clip the video if you can. Anything you like, post it, repost it, etc. I will retweet, I will post it onto the YouTube, and I'll give credit where it is due. Now, of course, it's been a very busy weekend in regards to Manchester United. It always is busy when it's in Manchester United, even if it's Saturday, even if it's Sunday. Manchester United are making noises in the world of news, in football news. Manchester United are continually making noises. And in my opinion, it is a little bit quiet compared to the last week, obviously, because it's the weekend. The weekend is generally quiet, but there are a few murmurs going around about Manchester United's transfer targets and the tactics that Manchester United could approach in regards to these transfer targets. Now, news is that Ugarte has handed in a transfer request. Ugarte, of course, Manchester United have agreed to personal terms with, has handed in a transfer request. Now, when a player hands in a transfer request, that's when things start to go towards the side of the club who wants to buy him. Of course, once a player hands in a transfer request, that's it. In my opinion, that's the end of it. Because at the end of the day, it's just a matter of time before the player leaves, because you cannot keep a player who's unhappy. It's not like a dictatorship, is it? You have to really let the player go, to be honest with you. And Manchester United have the ball in their court in regards to Ugarte. Ugarte has handed in a transfer request. Good morning, Sonny. How you doing? Good to see you here, brother. Nice to see you here again. Glory, glory, Man United. It's good to see you again. Thank you for joining me. So Ugarte looks like quite possibly could be the next through the door at Manchester United to join Xerxes, to join Euro. How do I feel about that deal? Very excited about that deal. We need that bit of grit, that bit of steel in midfield that is a ball that could break up play, that could play the ball to Mainu, the more finesse Mainu, and we can have that kind of Roy Keane kind of player in that team again. You know, what we've always used to have, that kind of player. So Ugarte reminds me of a little bit like Roy Keane. He doesn't score as many goals as Roy Keane, of course, but I want Ugarte. Now, Manchester United have not agreed a fee with Ugarte yet. This is the issue that they're having at the moment. The player has agreed personal terms with Manchester United and handed in a transfer request, but we have not agreed a fee with PSG. Now, PSG are desperate to get around 70 million euros for Ugarte, which just isn't going to happen. He's not worth 70 million in this current market. He played for PSG last year. They purchased him for 53 million euros, around that mark. He didn't do particularly well at PSG. For whatever reason it is, it just didn't work out for him. And at the end of the day, players go down in price when they don't do well, isn't it? They shouldn't increase like 30, 40% in regards to price. I mean, I know PSG wants Manchester United to pay for João Neves for them, another target for Manchester United. And this is where it gets interesting. Manchester United have inquired about a loan deal for Ugarte so that they can bring in João Neves as well. So if they get a loan deal for Ugarte with a view of a permanent deal after the loan, Manchester United will go after PSG's target, which is João Neves. Now, this will upset PSG, of course, because Manchester United are using the fact that Ugarte has handed in the transfer request as ammunition to go after PSG's target. I want João Neves. I think João Neves is brilliant. I think the rotation will be absolutely fabulous. I think it'll be brilliant, the rotation, because Mainu can't play every game. You could bring in João Neves. Ugarte's got that more of a skill, that more of a break-up play, defensive kind of midfielder. João Neves is a more of a productive number 8, number 6. So it would be an absolute steal for Man United if they did a deal like that. Ugarte on loan and with a view to buy a small fee, and then take João Neves, of course. Good morning, Chow. How you doing? Big up. We need 2 midfielders. I agree, my friend. We do need 2 midfielders. We're obviously it's obviously looking like Casemiro is not ready. I don't know what's wrong with Casemiro. It looks like his legs have gone, in my opinion. In the friendly, he didn't look particularly good. McTominay, we know. I feel like we should sell McTominay. I'll go on to McTominay a bit later, but I feel like McTominay is another player that we need to offload off the books. I think he's been punching him way above his weight for far too long. I know a lot of fans, there are a lot of people who like McTominay. I know there's a lot of people who want McTominay at the club because he wears his heart on his sleeve, he kisses the badge and whatnot. But I just don't think he's as good as we are. But going back to Ugarte, Manchester United could offer a loan deal for Ugarte with a view to buying him after the loan deal with a small fee as well. And with that, Manchester United could go after João Neves. Not only João Neves could be on Manchester United's radar, it is Zubamendi. Zubamendi, of course, is a Spanish international midfielder, defensive midfielder, came on for Rodri in the European Championship 24 against England. Of course, did very well. 25 years old, Real Sociedad player. Manchester United could also go after Zubamendi. Of course, there are three players that Manchester United are particularly looking at in the midfield area, which is Ugarte, João Neves, and Zubamendi. Of course, that Manchester United would ideally love to get all of those players, and that is quite a possibility. Manchester United could use loans as a way to get around the FFP, a way to get around paying money for those players. So Manchester United could quite possibly get three players in midfield in. You wouldn't be surprised if Manchester United get all three. And what would you think about that? How would that look? Zubamendi, João Neves, and Ugarte. It would be an absolute brilliant, exciting transfer window for Man United, of course. And of course, we've been short in midfield. We've either had not enough players, or we've had players who are unfit, two players whose legs are gone, for example, like Casemiro. So Manchester United could quite possibly sign three players in that midfield players and use loans to their advantage. Don't be surprised, and don't be disappointed either if Manchester United do use loans, because loans is there for a purpose, and we can use loans, and we can sort of manipulate PSG and other teams into giving us players with a subject to buy after the loan deal was done. Of course, Manchester United look likely to end the relationship with Casemiro, and it is quite possibly that McTominay could also leave. Now, obviously, it was Erik ten Hag singing McTominay's praises day before yesterday, or was it yesterday, telling everyone how great McTominay is. But what we have to remember is you cannot slag off a player you want to sell. He's going to have to big up the player. You know, if you're selling a car, you're not going to start saying, oh, you know what, the car's not really good, really, is it? You know, the car's rubbish. You know, I mean, I wouldn't buy it myself, but you can buy it, but I wouldn't buy it myself. You're not going to sell the car, are you? So that's what he's doing with McTominay, saying McTominay's a great player, scores goals, useful off the bench, blah, blah, blah. So this is tactics from Erik ten Hag. These are good tactics from Erik ten Hag in regards to McTominay, that he's doing a PR campaign for McTominay, so that it doesn't lower the price. We need a price for McTominay. I say 30 to 40 million. I would be acceptable. If we could offload McTominay, offload Casemiro, don't be surprised if we do deals for Zubamendi, João Neves, and Ugarte. If that happens, then obviously we are cooking, absolutely immensely cooking. Of course, we can't play all three, but Manchester United do have to have a squad. Mainoo is still young. We relied a lot on Kobbie Mainoo last season, so it'd be great to bring him off the pitch sometimes. Bring in a João Neves, play Ugarte with Mainoo, Ugarte with João Neves, or João Neves and Mainoo. Even though they're quite similar as players, but João Neves and Mainoo, you can do that as well, of course. Chow, what's your thoughts on nice links to Colombian midfield Richard Rios? And as I reported, Chow, a few days ago, Richard Rios, of course, a 24-year-old Colombian international, currently playing for Palmeiras, that Manchester United are interested in Richard Rios. I said it a few days ago. I said Manchester United are exploring the South American market a little bit more than they used to. I think they should do that. I think you can get really good value in regards to transfers in South America. They're very, very good players out there. They wear their heart on their sleeve. They give their all the time. And that's not to say that European players don't, but it is something about South American players that add that little bit of skill, that little bit of grittiness, that little bit of upbringing, for example, and a lot of the South American people and players, have not got it like Europe. It's not as easy in life. No offense to it, but it's not as easy, and they earn their corn, so to speak. They earn their way to playing football. And some of them, I remember Maradona used to play football with an orange and things like that. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I feel like they have that grit about them, that right mentality, the actual faith about them as well is really strong. So Richard Rios would make a very, very interesting signing. If Ugarte, if Zubimendi, or if João Neves doesn't work out, Manchester United could likely go for a Richard Rios, of course. And obviously he wouldn't fetch that much. It'd be about 20-25 million, which is an absolute steal. So Manchester United should be looking at this player, should be going after players like Richard Rios. Of course, impressed during the Copa America, a Colombian international, Palmeiras, still 24. So he's had like 58 appearances for Palmeiras as well, 3 goals, midfield central, a position Man United need. Now, Manchester United need to stop going after players late. For example, if there is a Richard Rios, don't wait for Brighton to sign him and then he goes for like 100 million in a couple of years' time. Go after the player. If you think he's good enough, playing in South America, go after the player, get the player early. Because at the end of the day, if you want to pay premium money, you're going to have to wait till he goes to Brighton, and you're going to have to wait for him to prove himself at Brighton. Then we're going to end up signing Richard Rios in a couple of years, just like Caicedo went to Chelsea for a ridiculous amount of money when he could have been scouted. And that's exactly what I've been saying over the years about scouting. Our scouting network needs to be stronger. Our scouting efficiency needs to be stronger, and it needs to be more open range, a wide range of countries, not just England, not just Europe. It needs to be around the world that we need to scout players. So Richard Rios is an interesting one. I wouldn't rule it out completely. There will be much more news this week. Of course, it's Monday morning, so you will start hearing noises coming out of Manchester United, and I will be here to bring you all those stories and news as they break. Now, Manchester United has sent a warning out to Mason Mount that we will not accept any low par performances or weak mentality. Basically, Mason Mount was out last season for the whole season. Manchester United, of course, paid 50 million for Mason Mount's services, despite having his last year on his contract. I didn't want the deal myself. I didn't feel that we needed the deal, but I trusted Ten Hag. But Mason Mount has seemed a bit lightweight at the moment in regards to injuries, in regards to just not being strong like that Manchester United need. They need a player who's there all the time, consistent, not injured all the time, not one little nick and you get injured. And that's the problem, I think, with him as a player. I just believe that he's a bit weak. I'm not saying that as an offence. I just feel like he doesn't add that something that you need at Manchester United in the central midfield. He just doesn't have it. He still has like a kind of Chelsea mentality, if do you know what I mean. And that's my opinion on that. And it said that Mason Mount is on thin ice in regards to Ineos. Ineos were not impressed with his injury record last season. Of course, signed for Man United for that much money. You expected more from him. He played, 3 games, something like that. It was very disappointing signing, very, very bad about how he was injured all season. And we needed him and he wasn't there. I don't know what kind of injury it was, but obviously it was serious in his regard that he couldn't play football. He played once against Brentford, did okay, scored a goal, then went off again, and we do not need that at the moment. So Mason Mount is said to be on thin ice this season. If he doesn't play enough games, if he starts getting these injuries, little niggles, then I'm pretty sure that Ineos will be looking to sell in the player. Ineos are already exploring avenues and any interested parties in regards to Mason Mount. They are looking at other clubs. Does anyone want to buy Mason Mount? Would anyone want to sign Mason Mount? Any news about Ligt, Chow? Yes, I'm going to get into Ligt in a second. Just one other piece of news. Sofian Amrabat. Of course, I'm a big fan of Sofian Amrabat. I think he's a very good player. It is said that Manchester United do not want to pay the release clause that Fiorentina have put on the table. Of course, Manchester United loaned Sofian Amrabat last January, and he didn't quite work out at the beginning, but he sort of embedded himself back into the side and sort of improved himself as the season went on. Injuries was a huge part of his disappointing start, and obviously being played out of position. But as the season went on, he proved his worth to the Manchester United squad. He was very good in the last few games, in particular the FA Cup final. Was very impressive him in the FA Cup final, and fair play to the lad. Completely pocketed that Man City midfield, and he was brilliant at the end of the day. Now, Manchester United do not want to pay the €20 million release clause, so they're offering about €13 million for Amrabat. Now, it's up to Fiorentina if they are going to accept that offer. There have been rumours that Sofyan Amrabat's house has been cleared out. I'm not sure how accurate those reports are, but there are reports that his house has been cleared out and they're ready to send him back to Italy. Now, I don't think that would be nice. I don't think that would be really professional of them. I don't think that happened because obviously we have not agreed a deal yet. Of course, he is a Fiorentina player, and maybe Ineos are looking at that, saying, well, he's a Fiorentina player, and a Fiorentina not going to play ball with us. We're going to send him back to Italy and move on to next players. Of course, the way Sofyan Amrabat is feeling, I can imagine he feels really disappointed and feels a bit messed around, and this is not a good feeling to have. Of course, he played very well for Man United in the latter stages of the season, and I would honestly, in myself, I would try my best to just explore avenues to keep him on for another season or two. Now, in regards to De Ligt, good morning, Larouk, how you doing? In regards to De Ligt, De Ligt has taken a back seat at the moment, as Manchester United are looking for potential buyers for Lindelof and Maguire. Of course, they have to sell to buy at the moment. In particular, in defence, Manchester United need to sell a Maguire or Lindelof to prevent having too many right central mid defenders. Of course, they already have Euro, and they have Evans in there as well, who can play there. Of course, so Manchester United are looking to sell a central defender before they buy De Ligt. At the end of the day, we cannot have too many right central defenders, especially central defenders who are senior, who can play in that position, who should be playing almost every game. But Manchester United are looking to offload one of those, and then Manchester United will go back in for De Ligt. Now that brings me on to Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich are in a position to sell. Bayern Munich need to sell players for FFP, and they need to sell many players apparently. So that could open a door for De Ligt to sign for Manchester United. Now, we do need a left-sided centre-back. I have been banging the drum about a left-sided centre-back for a while now. The left-sided centre-back berth needs to be sorted out, doesn't it? It does need to be sorted out. We do need a left-sided centre-back. Come on, guys. We need a left-sided centre-back, and we need it fast. So that I will get into that in a bit. But in regards to De Ligt, don't write off De Ligt. De Ligt will still be on Manchester United's radar, just not yet. You could hear developments this week. Probably by the end of the week, there will be more news on De Ligt. De Ligt is quite openly said he wants to play for Manchester United. The door is open, but we must offload some players. Maguire, Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka could be out the door pretty soon, of course. I say that Lindelof out of those bunch will be the first to leave. In regards to Maguire, the only stumbling block with Maguire is his wages, and getting him off the books is going to be a little bit more difficult because of his wages. It's going to be hard to get rid of Maguire. Lindelof proves a much easier option as is his final year of his contract. So it looks like he could be the one who'd be sacrificed in regards to that defensive berth. De Ligt could come in, and it's up to Maguire if he has the ambition that he wants to leave. Of course, there's many players that don't want to leave because of the money they're being paid, and that is disappointing, of course. But do you blame them? Maguire's going to say, I don't want to sign for such and such a team if I'm going to get half the wages that I'm getting at Manchester United. And this is what the problem is going to be, of course, when we're trying to sell players. And it has been a problem for the last few years. We have to sort of clear out this mentality, this structure that we're paying players too much too soon. It's so incompetent the way we've been run. We've been run terribly, the way we just splash money out of players. For me, the Xerxes deal, paying him something like 60 to 70,000 a week was so refreshing. He wanted to play for Manchester United, taking the money, not interested in just the money. Of course, the money is important as much as we say it isn't, but it is very important. But a player like Xerxes proved he wants to play for Man United, and we need more players like that who want to play for Man United, not just the fact that we threw 300,000 to him, just like we did with Antony, who was on 40,000, and we ended up giving him 200,000 a week, which is crazy when you think about it. Larouk, man, possible Zuba, Ugarte, or Rios. Yeah, those will be good signings, my friend. I spoke about Rios before anyone else. I was on here a few days ago, track back. I spoke about Rios. I've got my head in the South American market. I've got my head in European football. And as I was talking yesterday, in regards to AC Milan, you'll see a few players from the youth team come through AC Milan. And I'm not just talking about any player. I'm talking about next ones through kind of players, elite players. But Zubi, Ugarte, and Rios would be great. Would be fantastic if we can do that over the line. That would be brilliant because we get Zubi, Ugarte, we get Ugarte on loan, we bring in Zubi and Rios. It would be fantastic if we offload a Casemiro and a McTominay, for example. It would be very, very exciting. I would be very happy with that. Of course, I want a João Neves. I think João Neves is generational. I think we should be going after a João Neves because João Neves is the type of player to go to a Man City, to go to PSG. And this is the whole thing with it, isn't it? So we have to go after these players, the next one through, the generational talents. We have to go after them as well. Richard Rios, of course, will represent a risk, but it won't be an expensive risk, of course. Bringing him from Palmeiras won't break the bank. But we obviously, a lot of people do not know much about Rios. He's strong, he's versatile, and he can bring that ball out from midfield. Can play number 8, number 6, good player, of course. And who knows how good he can be, or how high his ceiling is. Developed a little bit late in regards to his age, which is 24 years old. So let's see what happens with that. The midfield issue is a very interesting one at the moment, and it's one that could be developed over the next few days. Yeah, I like control the game as well, Larouk. I want us to control the game too, of course. Of course. Good morning, Shabazz, my friend. How you doing? I hope just these tests aren't against us as well, as always. Last year it went insane. Update me about Chelsea. Update you about Chelsea. Nothing much about Chelsea, if I'm being totally honest with you. Chelsea are after Andreas Pereira is after Chelsea. Chelsea want Andreas Pereira. Of course, the next Man United player is Andreas Pereira. Chelsea have inquired about the Fulham player, the midfield central. Not the most exciting transfer in the world, if you ask me. Andreas Pereira has done pretty well at Fulham. Is it the type of player that Chelsea should be looking at? Not in my opinion. But this is not a Chelsea channel, but I will bring you the news in regards to Chelsea, and I'll tell you about Chelsea in regards to what they need to do. Chelsea need to clear out a lot of players, in my opinion. They do need to clear out a lot of players, in my opinion. I still think they need a striker. And that's my opinion on that. Of course, they are also after João Neves as well. So Manchester United need to be looking out for that. Manchester United need to be looking at other teams who are after João Neves. And they need to be very, very shrewd in the way they do their business. And they don't just let Neves slip through their fingers. Now, that brings me, obviously, I spoke about Bayern Munich, who have to sell to buy now, of course, which could open the door for Ligt to leave, of course. It's basically could still be done. I say around 60-70% sure that Ligt will be a Manchester United player come the start of the season. I do want these players through the door early. I don't know about you, but I like these players to come through the door early so they can be implemented into the team, into the squad, and worked on with tactics, etc., rotations, etc. Shabazz, it's far from the media inflating the fee paid for all targets. Good point. Yes, that's a good point. The media are inflating money in regards to Manchester United. Rival fans are inflating our prices and they're making it look like we paid over the odds for the player. Like, for example, Euro basically is another one who could be, who is being inflated. His price is being inflated. 70 million, people were saying, weren't they, when we got him for 42 plus add-ons. People just don't want Manchester United to be successful. And when the media are starting to have a media campaign about Manchester United, everything we do, like I said a few shows ago, I said it a few days ago, in regards to Euro, if he signed for Real Madrid, people will be singing his praises, how he's the next one through, how he's the next big defender out there, how he's such a great player, how they got him so cheap, a 19-year-old, they mean business, Real Madrid, blah, blah, blah. But because he signed for Man United, they want to downplay it. They want to say that we paid over the odds for him, we paid 70 million because they're hurting. The comparisons with Calafiori and Euro, which I've seen online, are absolutely ridiculous. None of these Arsenal fans knew who Calafiori was a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. So come on, guys. Euro is generational. Calafiori is a good player. That's it. And that's my opinion on that. Amos, what about Antony leaving Man United? I'm going to go on to Antony in a little bit. I want to talk about Wan-Bissaka just 1 second. Wan-Bissaka could stay as we have no buyers for the player. It said that Wan-Bissaka is demanding a fee of £25 million. Of course, we purchased him for 50 million only a couple of years ago, and his price has drastically gone down. I don't think he should be that cheap, but Manchester United are desperate to offload Wan-Bissaka, but have agreed and come to accept that the reality that he is not going to leave because we do not have suitable buyers. That could hamper the deal for Jerome Frimpong, which obviously is disappointing. Manchester United do need an attacking right back, a right wing back, right midfielder. He can play as well. So at the end of the day, Manchester United were looking at Frimpong, but do need to offload the Wan-Bissaka if they're going to sign Frimpong. But it looks like Wan-Bissaka is going nowhere as no one wants him, which is kind of the story with a lot of our players, which is why we had to sell Van der Beek for so low. We literally sold Van der Beek for the price of a National League player, which is about £800,000. It is absolute steal for whoever we got Van der Beek, considering we signed him for like 35 million. Absolutely crazy. Yeah, I've spoken about Ugarte. I've spoken about that. Yeah, we are against PGMOL. Shabazz PGMOL, of course, are corrupt. I'm not saying anything sinister too much, but at the end of the day, there is a double standard going on. Manchester City signed Savinho, of course, which was blatant money laundering. We know it was money laundering. Those of us who are a bit awake know that was money laundering. We know the Savinho signing was a money laundering deal, and it should have been obviously blocked. It seems like UEFA, it seems like the FA, it seems like FIFA are trying everything in their power to go against what Manchester United are. I don't know whether Manchester City have some dealerships with FIFA. I don't know whether they have some dealerships with UEFA, but it does seem that way, doesn't it? Because at the end of the day, it seems like they're going around the rules. They're breaking the rules, but going around it and trying. And the whole point is, if the rules can be broken easily and manipulated easily, why have the rules there? Because they can be manipulated. Why have them? And Man City are manipulating the rules, and they say, no, Man City is okay. Man City is okay. But when it comes to Man United wanting it to beat Todibo, the book, here goes the book, slammed on the table. You cannot sign Todibo, even though that rule was 50 years old. We're bringing out rule section 666777, and you can have, you're going to not sign Todibo because you've broken the rules. Now Manchester Euro has chosen Manchester United over Real Madrid. They're starting to throw their dummies at the pram again, and FIFA is starting to get involved in our deals, and which is very, very unsettling. Now, in regards to Antony, Amos, thank you for joining me, by the way, Amos. Thank you so much. Good morning to you. In regards to Antony, Antony could be sacrificed in regards to, not literally sacrificed, but in regards to leaving Manchester United. He could be sent out on loan, and there are interested parties in regards to Antony. Newcastle United are one interested party in regards to Antony. Antony just hasn't worked out for him. I felt he had a decent first season. Second season was not as good as the first season. But at the end of the day, he's a player that Ten Hag liked. We overpaid for him. Paying 90 million was completely over the mark. That was not Ten Hag's fault. That was the incompetence of the board at the time. We waited till the last minute, then ended up signing him last minute. Not only that, did we sign him last minute and pay over the odds for him, we spent too much on wages as well. He's earning far too much. So we won't be able to sell him because he's astronomical wages, and no one's going to want to pay that amount of money for Antony, unfortunately. So a loan deal could be the one that we turn to in regards to that. But we also have to do a loan deal with the other club paying a fraction or a percentage of his wages, of course. I believe that he will stay in England. I believe he will go on loan to like a Newcastle. I think it'd be good for him. And I wish him the best of luck. Of course, last season, we cannot discount that he had personal issues. There was a lot of issues going on. And a lot of issues were going on around the club. There was a lot of problems going on around the club, of course. Loads of issues going on. And at the end of the day, it was hard for him. And I wish him the best of luck if he does leave. We do have Ahmad there, who looks like he's going to solidify his position as a right winger next season, which I'm very excited about. Ten Hag said that Ahmad, this is his season, this is his time, and now's the time to deliver, which I'm sure he will. Of course, Rashford can play there, Garnacho can play there too. which is also a thing as well. Now, of course, Pellistri, that brings me on to Pellistri. Pellistri could leave Manchester United, of course. Many interested parties in La Liga and also in the Premier League in regards to Pellistri. It's also said that Como, who have just signed Varane, are interested in Pellistri. And also Real Betis are interested in Pellistri. Pellistri could leave, and it looks likely that he will be out the door. Unfortunately, didn't get enough football that he was looking for. Maybe needed more chances. But that right wing, we are stacked with right wingers, and obviously it's going to be hard for him to break into that side, unfortunately. And I would not be opposed to moving him on and let him go to the club he wants to go to, of course. And basically, I wish him all the best. So Pellistri could be off the books. That could be another one who has been sold. Of course, we've sold a few players now. Some players have left on of course, their contracts have run out as well, like Williams, for example. Shabazz, they want us to foul so hard because we are the biggest and and they will never become, because they'll become fastest players in history. This is the whole thing. Whenever I write a tweet about Manchester City, or I write a tweet about those kind of clubs, Chelsea or whatever, but in particular Manchester City, they throw their rattles at their pram. They start throwing us this, or we stop talking about the past. But at the end of the day, Manchester City have cheated, and they will be held to the sword, I hope. The corruption and the sinister nature of the way that they've done business over the last few years, last decade, has been nothing short of unacceptable. They've broken the rules, 115, they've broken the rules, they cheated their way to winning trophies. They should be stripped of every trophy, and they should be relegated, just like Juventus were relegated those years ago. They should be. And at the end of the day, if FIFA do not act, if UEFA do not act, it just proves the narrative that they are in with Manchester City, and basically being sinister things are going on between those two teams, those two entities, should I say, Manchester City and FIFA. And I believe that they are working together, and I believe there is a vendetta against Manchester United. I don't know about you, but I feel like there is a vendetta against Manchester United. I do believe that Manchester City are trying everything in their power to cancel Manchester United, to try and harm us indirectly. I've heard things like they're paying, like sinister things, let's just say, to try and harm Manchester United in regards to decisions, referees, and obviously FIFA and UEFA. I don't know whether they want to try and cancel Man United completely, but they're never going to do that, because Manchester United will never die. Manchester United will always be the bigger club, will always be the team with the most prestigious history. People say, oh, Manchester City's history is Aguero. Manchester City's history is Yaya Toure. Manchester City's history is cheating. Manchester City's history is oil money. That's Manchester City's history. Our history is the Busby Babes. Our history is George Best. Our history is Sir Alex Ferguson, right? So at the end of the day, when you want to talk about our history, well, our history goes back over 100 years, and you want to talk about it, let's calm down a little bit, because at the end of the day, Manchester City fans, your history is oil money. That is your history. Before oil money, you were a Nicky Weaver, you were a Richard Edghill, you were a Sean Gota, you were a Ure Rossler, you were a Georgie Kincladze, you were a Gary Walsh. Was his name Walsh? Wasn't it? Dickoff. You were a Paul Dickoff. That's who you were. So don't come to us with your rubbish. When I tweet with facts, and I tweet with knowledge. Do not come to me with, at the end of the day, our history is Yaya Toure, our history is Aguero. Your history is oil money, lads. Suck it up, agree to it. You are not the team you were 20 years ago. You are not organically made by some miraculous miracle that happened. You were given money, you had a cheat code, and you got to where you went. You cheated as well throughout this last 10 years, and you should have your title stripped. Abu Dhabi could have taken over any team in the world, and they would have done the same. It's not something unique about you. They could have done that to any club, even a League One, League Two side could have won Premier League titles. There's nothing there that suggests that, oh my goodness, we've done this, we've done that, we're such a great team. You're not. No one cares about you, and no one is taking you seriously. No one is taking Manchester City seriously. No one likes Manchester City because they know they cheated. They know they cheated. It is blatant cheating, Shabazz, blatantly. Good morning, bro. What's going on, Mark? How you doing? Why is everyone popping the med and crashing on Antony when Antony codenamed the stylistic is same and same? And yeah, I do agree with that. I do agree that no one cares about City. I do agree with that, Mark. I think that is a good point. I think it is a bit sad that we do cascade. Is that how you say it? You cascade certain players, but praise other players. Ahmad, it's a massive season for Ahmad. We're not taking any prisoners, and that goes with anyone next season. Mason Mount as well. We're not taking any prisoners next season. We don't want any weak mentalities out there. We don't want anyone just to get picking up niggly injuries and missing the whole season. Yeah, I would take a Sal. I said it. Apparently, Mason Mount is said to be on thin ice. I would take a Sal. Newcastle would be fantastic if they could pay the money for him. We're definitely not going to get 50 million for him. I don't think we'll get anywhere near that. Probably about 35, 45 around that mark. If we can get that kind of money, that would be nice, because he has been injured all last season, and it was a terrible buy. In all honesty, in the end, it wasn't great, and I never wanted him in the first place. I think, Mark, you're the same. You didn't want Mason Mount in the first place. In regards to your point with Antony, I agree. I think like people are praising players too much. Every single one of those players need to be held accountable next season. Every single one of those players need to go out there next season and prove their worth. We don't want no subpar performances. We don't want no down tooling. If you down tool, you're out the door, and that's how it should be at the end of the day. Ahmed needs to prove himself. Of course, Antony struggled last season, and I've already touched on the problems he had last season, of course, with the off-field issues, which affected his mental health. We saw the interview where he was crying, and basically, I felt for the guy. Would I be opposed to a loan? I don't know. I mean, we are stacked in that position. So if he goes on loan, maybe it'd be better for him to go on loan, prove himself at another club, come back and kill it. Shabazz, I don't want to compare them, but Ahmed has a way higher potential, but I have hope for Mount. He's a brilliant player. Mount, I'll be totally honest, Shabazz. I've always felt he was a decent player. But I don't think he's as good as people think he is. I mean, I think he's a lot of favoritism in regards to him, in regards to the England fold before. I think he's a decent player. I think he's good on his day. Played well for one. He hasn't played well for a good couple of years now, and we have to remember that. So I think that at the end of the day, if we sold him, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I didn't agree with the deal. We can agree to disagree on that, but at the end of the day, I didn't agree with the Mount signing. I felt it was too much, and I didn't think that anyone else was after him. And I feel like it just hasn't worked out for him, and he needs to be stronger. He needs to have a stronger mentality, and he needs to do bits. If he's going to stay at Manchester United, he needs to prove his worth. He needs to prove that he's good enough. Of course, Manchester United are after Ugarte, João Neves, and of course Zubimendi as well, and Richard Rios, players like that who are on the Manchester United's radar. And it looks as though Ineos want to stamp their authority on the squad, and they want their own squad. And that's why I'm seeing it. They've looked at Mason Mount, they've seen how much wages he's on, and they said, how many games did he play? Oh, what? He only played like 3-5 games last season? What is this player? Who is this player? Why was he missing that amount of games, etc.? And that's the issue we're going to have. Mason Mount's going to have, and it is said that he's on thin ice. Yeah, Chow, I agree. It was a lot of money to pay for him. Remains to be seen if he was a waste of money, but at the moment, it is a waste of money. I'm predicting it now, just like being a mate. Shabazz, I hope you're right. I hope you're right, and I hope he does very well for Manchester United. It's nothing personal. I think that it's just I don't think he has the elite mentality that you need to push. In what I mean push, you look at a player like Kobe Mainoo. You look at his mentality, his body language, everything about Kobe Mainoo is just win. And you look at Kobe Mainoo and you think, when Kobe Mainoo's in your side, you just feel that, I used to have it when we had Scholes and Keane. It's just this like air of confidence when you see him, that when in the squad, you see a Kobe Mainoo in the squad and you think, yeah, it's Kobe Mainoo. He's going to be all right. You feel that. I don't feel that with Mason Mount. I feel like, it's a bit like, it's a bit edgy, if you know what I mean. But I wish him the best of luck, and even if he leaves, I wish him the best of luck, as I always do with Manchester United players. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. Yeah, the manager did want Xavi Simons, and obviously he's reignited his interest in Xavi Simons this season. But I think that Mason Mount could have been a Glazer buy, or how would you say it? Would it have been an Ineos buy? I don't think so. I think it's too early for Ineos. I feel like he was advised to sign Mason Mount. I do agree, Mark. I feel like they said, "I'll get Mason Mount." I just feel like Mason Mount has had a lot. He's like that kid at school who gets picked for the football team even though he's not good. You know what I mean? He's like one of those players who always get picked for the football team even though he does badly. You know what I'm saying? So that's my opinion on that. And he had a couple of good seasons. Let's be honest. And he's stylistically exactly what I'm saying. Stylistically, he's not a Man United player. Gets me the weirdest shirt seller. Yeah, he's a shirt seller again. You know, I never rated Mason Mount. I just feel like he's a teacher's pet. Honestly, I felt like he got famous because you know he does little dances on TikTok. He's a lovely lad, and you know he's British and blah blah blah, and that's what it is. But I wish the lad luck. If he stays, then he better prove it. And like every single player in that squad, they got to prove it. I don't agree with the overhyping of certain players, even Ahmad. I don't agree overhyping the player too much. I think it just adds pressure on the player, and obviously the player hasn't proven it. We want aspirations on challenging for the title, and we have to have a title mentality. This title mentality means we accept no prisoners, and we don't let players get off the hook. We don't let players down tool. We don't let players have a little nick and they miss half the season. Do you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, we need to have an elite mentality. We need to bring that back into our squad. I come from a generation where players were limping on the pitch, were in pain, and were still playing on. Do you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, players have got to start manning up, womaning up, whatever you want to say. You know, I'm not going to be discriminate, but at the end of the day, they got to start showing the cojones and start showing some guts to at Manchester United, because that's what you need at Manchester United is guts. You need fearless attitude, and we need to win and win at all costs. And if you're not on that train, if you're not on that ride with us, if you're not with that mentality, out the door. Simple as that. Update me about Greenwood leaving Man U. I've said quite a lot about Greenwood, Mason Greenwood. I wish nothing but the best for Mason Greenwood, of course. Mason Greenwood signing for Marseille for £27 million. I think it was 33 million euros. In regards to Mason Greenwood, fantastic generational talent. Disappointed why what's happened. The self-righteousness came into play. People throwing a book at Mason Greenwood. He made a mistake. Everything was manipulated as well. Not everything was set in stone. There was not the full recording. There was a lot of things in between, lots of multi-layered things that happened with Mason Greenwood. Very disappointed in how it ended for Mason Greenwood. Was so excited when he broke through the ranks at Manchester United, being compared to the likes of Robin van Persie, players like that. Was very upset about the sell. But at the end of the day, we had to think about the player's mental health, and we had to think about him as well as us. We can't be selfish. We had to think about him as well as the club as well. And at this stage in our development as a club, in our new beginnings, we need no distractions, and that includes Jadon Sancho, that includes Rashford as well, because I think they're on thin ice as well. I believe those players on thin ice. I don't want any moaning next season when they don't play. I don't want any moaning about playing out of position. When did you ever hear about Man United players moaning about playing out of position under Sir Alex? You either play, or if you either play, or you just be quiet and you just get on with it and work hard. Mark, he's gone to Marseille, sell on close with Sen, a buyback clause in the deal. There is no player in our current squad with his ability. Chase, hopefully we get some in the future. Yeah, mate. He's a generational. As I said, he's like the Mainu of our attacking players, you know. And unfortunately, this has happened. And then at the end of the day, we have to lump it, and we have to wait and see what happens. Don't be surprised if we do get him back in the future. I do believe they shouldn't shut him out completely. I think he should still play for England. If not, he should play for Jamaica, and that's it. You know. That's one another thing about Southgate I don't like about Southgate. He's very self-righteous. He practices a selective outrage. As Chris Rock said about Will Smith, he practices selective outrage. And I think his treatment of Mason Greenwood, his treatment of Maguire, and his treatment of certain players, Man United players, is selective outrage. And when he keeps players like Kyle Walker, I wish Mason Greenwood the best of luck, and I hope that he makes a lot of people swallow their words. Will McTominay be sold or stay? McTominay, of course, is notorious McTominay, the notorious McTominay. At the end of the day, I want McTominay gone. I think we should cash in on McTominay. He's 27 now, been punching above his weight for a long time. And at the end of the day, I think that it's time we moved on from McTominay. I just still don't think he's good enough to play for Manchester United. He gives 100%. I agree. He wears his heart on his sleeve. You can't knock him for that. He's good on interviews, but we need more than that. We need a player who's good enough to bring us forward, and I don't think McTominay is that guy to bring us forward. I think he should have been sold a long time ago. We will get the full money for McTominay because it's a youth product. We will get the full amount from McTominay. So it's one deal that we should be doing, and we should bringing in, putting the money towards a João Neves, someone like that, a Zubamendi, an Ugarte. The money should be going towards that. Yes, Mark, my guy, definitely, mate. We think on the same page a lot of the time. So we know what it takes. We know where we need to go. We know what we need to, who we need to sell. For example, it's getting really dark here in Naples. The sun is gone in. Goodness me, God, goodness me, is it going to storm? I don't know, but it is what I do in the shadows, to say. So basically, yeah. So any other news in regards to left backs? Manchester United, of course, are in search of a left back. There is the Turkish player Kadioglu, who I'm a big fan of because Kadioglu can play left side, centre back, left wing back. And he can create and he can score goals. Kadioglu would go for around 25 million, which is an absolute steal. Currently playing for Fenerbahce, of course, developed in Holland. Very good player, and I feel that Manchester United should explore avenues on getting Kadioglu. Manchester United cannot rely on Luke Shaw anymore. Luke Shaw is a fantastic player, don't get me wrong. On his day, one of the best. As a fullback, he's one of the best fullbacks there is. So on his day. But we cannot rely on him. He's missed something like 60% of his career at Man United, which is absolutely diabolical. We need to move on from that. And a Kadioglu, a Gutierrez could be on the cards within the next couple of weeks. You will hear news about those. But of course, Manchester United have other deals that have priority at the moment, and priority is selling players first. Manchester United do need to offload a few players, and don't be surprised if we do get rid of a couple of players within the next week or so. And there are developments in that. We have also sold a few players. We've made around 60 odd million in regards to sales so far. So hopefully we'll get a few more out the door. So a few more that shouldn't be there, who've overstayed their welcome. And it's all good selling players like Mason Greenwood, but when you still got players like McTominay, it just seems a bit, bad taste in the mouth, so to speak. So at the end of the day, we need to sell a lot of players at that club. There's a lot of players that need to leave. Wan-Bissaka looks like it's going to be a difficult one because obviously, no one wants to pay the fee for Wan-Bissaka, and this is a problem that we're going to have going forward, of course. Now, in regards to and Kadioglu, Manchester United, it's said that they will go in with an offer, a first offer for Kadioglu. I'm looking forward to that, and I hope that we get that one over the line. We do need a left back, as I repeat, we do need a left back, and we do need a left-sided centre back. Ignacio is a player for Sporting Lisbon, who Manchester United have also had on their radar. A player that excites me, young player, 22 years old, 6'1". Off that famous Sporting Lisbon conveyor belt, of course. Brilliant player, and Liverpool have shown interest, including Chelsea have shown interest as well. So basically, Manchester United are interested in Ignacio as well. He's very busy in the world of Manchester United at the moment. He's very crazy in the crazy world of Manchester United, and you never know what's going to happen next. You never know what's around the corner. You never know who's the next one was going to be. Completely, who's going to be through the door. You never know who's going to be the next one. So we could have a new player linked with this week. You never know. But I believe centre back and left back are a priority for our balance. When Licha Martinez gets injured, we struggle, and that's where the problem was last season. Yes, you could say Luke Shaw could play on the left side as centre back, but can we rely on Luke Shaw? Can we rely on Malaysia? Can we really? When the going gets tough, will they be there for us? Will they be there? This is the problem. We don't want any more Martials. We don't need any more of that. We need more players who are there week in, week out. You hardly hear an Arsenal. You hardly hear a Man City with injuries all the time, like the injuries that we had last season, And we need to move on from that. 120%. Yeah, Shaw needs to be sold, but I don't think we're going to sell Luke Shaw. That is a very low position. Any updates on Eriksen and Casemiro? Yeah, Eriksen and Casemiro. Casemiro, of course, I believe that we should be selling Casemiro. I haven't heard anything on Casemiro at the moment. Casemiro's playing in pre-season, which isn't a good sign in regards to selling him. Didn't play well. It wasn't great. I believe Eriksen will leave, and I believe Eriksen is one of the players who could go to Saudi Arabia. There's also interest in Melbourne, in Australia for Eriksen. I'm hearing over here in Italy. Eriksen could go to Australia. Don't be surprised. Or he could go to Saudi Arabia. There's also FC Copenhagen in the mix, but I don't think FC Copenhagen can afford him. This is the problem that we're having. Casemiro, of course, Saudi Arabian clubs are interested in Casemiro. There's also been interest over here. Bologna have inquired about Casemiro over here in Italy. But can they afford him? This is another story, isn't it? Manchester United need to offload players, and I'm sure we'll hear a lot more about those players this week. Gonzalo is a very, very good player, Mark, bro. He's a very good player. I remember as I was saying, Lantia left back. Could we see him? Mate, bro, that's a good idea, like they did with Saka in the European Championships. He can play left back. He can. The problem is him. And at the end of the day, that's a good a shout. You can play him left back. Back in the days, we remembered when Dennis Irwin played right back, when Dennis Irwin played left back, and he sacrificed for the team. John O'Shea plays central midfield. Ronnie Johnson plays central midfield. Fletcher plays centre back. Carrick plays centre back. You do what's good for the team. The fortunate thing is when Antony came off the bench, I think last season, and he had that grimace. He was moaning about not playing in his position because he had to defend. They played him at fullback, didn't they? He's a left footer, and he's a very defensive kind of winger, isn't he? He tracks back, he tackles. So I wouldn't be against him playing as a left back or a right back. In my opinion, I wouldn't be against that, and I think we should try it out. I think there's avenues to be explored in regards to that. Definitely, 100%, bro. That's a good shout, man. Definitely. Now, Manchester United obviously have raided Arsenal in regards to Chido Obi Martin. Chido Obi Martin, who's compared to Lamine Yamal. I know that's a big comparison, but he's also compared to Ronaldinho. Very, very exciting player. If you go back on tweets, you see Arsenal fans ranting and raving about Chido, and they were asking, saying he's the next one through. He's a brilliant player. Watch out for Martin. Watch out for him. But now it seems like he's rejected a contract for Arsenal and he's coming to Manchester United. Another brilliant young player that Manchester United are going to bring through the door, 16 years old. He's that good. I could see him coming. I could see him playing for Man United very soon, even at the age of 16. I think he could be the next Lamine Yamal. I'm saying that right now. I'm going to die on this hill. You can quote this. You can write it. You can say whatever you like. But I'm saying that right now. He's a brilliant player. And Manchester United could have him through the door this week. Another exciting player. And it's a deal that Man United should be trying to do and should be trying to get young players, fresh players. The next big thing. It's like what Jim Ratcliffe said. We want to get the next Mbappe. We don't want to buy Mbappe. We want the next Mbappe. And that's how we should be. I agree. Those normal players will have a bit of frustrating feeling playing out of position. Yeah, I agree. But at the end of the day, you do it for the team. And you're doing it for the team. The only issue I have with Antony, right, is I feel like Antony is a little bit predictable. In regards to he cuts in shoots. We need a player there who can cross the ball in a sixpence. You remember like David Beckham used to do? You remember like crossing the ball in a sixpence? You can get that ball in the box, and create chances for like the likes of Xerxes, for the likes of Rasmus next season. So it would be, I would be opposed to keeping him. I think maybe one more season. We see how it goes. We cannot use mental issues as a problem. I was raised on David Beckham, of course. I know what he went through. It was absolutely diabolical. I was in the stadiums when they're swearing about his wife, And at the end of the day, I think he needs to show himself next season, show what he's worth. Antony, you are the player. We know how good you are. We've seen you. We know how good you are. Go out there and prove everyone wrong, of course, and go out there and do the business. And we won't knock you for that. What you do on the pitch is what matters the most. And go out there and do the business. I like the player's personality, I have to admit. I like his winning mentality. I like how he grabs the badge. I like how he loves the club. And I love that about him because there's many players in our squad who don't have that, don't have that little bit of grit. And that's what I'm talking about, the South American thing, about the grit, about the Ugarte, about Lucho Martinez, who have that grit, the heart on the sleeve type of mentality. And I think just like in 2008 when we had Tevez was such a player that really complemented our finesse and our skill in 2008, and when we had the best team in the world, and he was a big part of that. And when he left, it sort of took away a lot from us. Amos UG Chelsea fan, compare me from Chilwell and Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw is 10 times the player that Chilwell will be ever be. The only thing is injuries. Luke Shaw is an absolute bowler when it comes to left backs, one of the top left backs of his generation. Chilwell for me is a decent left back. That's it. And I think he's good. I think not even getting in the England squad is telling. Southgate picking a half-fit Luke Shaw over Chilwell is telling. And that shows you everything you need to know about Chilwell versus Shaw. By no means, they're not Roberto Carlos. None of them are. By all means, they're not. Patrice Evra or Dennis Irwin, they're not. But of their generation, they are two of the best English left backs. But I think Luke Shaw is a tad above Chilwell. And Luke Shaw's overlapping runs, his crosses, he's a better player. And the ability to be, mentality to be consistent is not there. Yeah, thank you, Mark. He's not there. He's got the Mason Mount about him. I don't know if it's a Chelsea thing, being raised in West London, it's a bit easy, a bit King's Road, Gucci, Prada, all them sort of things. Too easy, life is too good, life is too cushy. It's too easy for them, too soft. Whereas, a Luke Shaw is a bit more grittier about him, he's got a bit more fight about him, But none of them, by all means, are Roberto Carlos. None of them are Dennis Irwin. None of them are Patrice Evra. We do need another left back. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Now, my prediction for next season is that Manchester United will challenge and they will shock the world next season. Mark, remember this. I think we're going to challenge for the league next season. I said it last week and the week before. I believe if we get the signings we are linked to having, I think we will have a very, very good season, a shocking season next season. And I believe that we will shock the world next season in the Premier League. Of course, we do have to think about the elements. The referees obviously don't like us. The FA obviously don't like us. They're in there everything to block us from winning the league. Don't forget, Mark, that we're hated by the FA. And I'm not sure anything sinister is going on between Manchester City and the FA, but it seems that way, doesn't it? And the reason is Michael Oliver refereed the game against Manchester City, Man United in the FA Cup final. Michael Oliver couldn't do nothing in that game because we were on him. We knew he was going to do a controversial decision, and we knew we would have rioted if he'd done something against us in that game. We knew it. I said 17 games are being going to Christmas. Yes, that's what it's about. 17 games going into Christmas. That's what we get, the positive mentality, glass half full. I believe it as well. I think we'll be very, very good. And we'll be very, very, very strong next season. I just believe we've got the grip between our teeth, and the club are being run like a machine at the moment. And I believe we're coming back. We're coming back, guys. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today. We're hated by almost everything, and we always have been. The only problem is now is that VAR are hampering us. Referees are hampering us even more, and we have to fight against the referees, which is difficult, of course, because every little decision that another team gets, they get. Every decision that we get, we don't. Every little decision that we're supposed to get, we don't get, and that's the problem with it. Lastly, Amos Atako, Amos a Chelsea fan, update me about Van Persie and Louis Nani Vidic. Update. There's no updates about them. They're retired at the end of the day, bro. World-class Van Persie, generational, fantastic player, one of the best strikers in the world. I was raised on a lot of world-class strikers. Andy Cole, of course, Alan Shearer. I was raised upon Rivaldo, Ronaldo. I was raised upon those type of players. So, I compare players to that. At the end of the day, Van Persie, fantastic player, world-class player. Nani, if Nani was playing now, he would be the best player at Man United, probably one of the best players at Man United. But he was at the bench at Man United. That shows how good our team was. That shows how good our team was. Nani was generational. Vidic, best defender in the Premier League era, in my opinion. Best defender in the Premier League era, along with Rio Ferdinand. Two of the best partnership ever. Don't give me that Martin Keown. Don't give me that Tony Adams. Nani, not Nani one in defence, but Vidic and Ferdinand were two of the best defenders in Premier League history, along with Jaap Stam. Those are the three best. Quote me on that. They were the 3 best because we were the best team ever in the Premier League. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. We didn't cheat. We don't have 115. We bought through youth. We won the treble with youth players, 8 or 9 youth players. So suck it up and learn how to run a club properly, Manchester City, you cheaters. Yes, so guys, thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to smash a like. Thank you, everyone. Amas, Mark, all you guys, LaRue, for joining me today. Big respect today for joining me this morning. I'll be live whenever a bit of news breaks. I'll be live to bring you the news. Don't forget to smash a like again, and don't forget to subscribe. You guys are absolute legends. Thank you so much, and hopefully some good news this week and some new signings, some new players out, some old players out, some new players in. That'd be fantastic, wouldn't it, guys? Thanks so much for joining me, legends. All the best. Have a fantastic day. Peace.